All right, guys. So today I'm gonna teach you guys right how to draw a simple supply and demand zones. Okay, and I'm also gonna touch base on a little bit more advanced topics on how to trade these strategies, what to look out for, so on and so forth. Okay, so if not, let's dive right in. Okay, all right. So there's two things that you guys have to look out for when identifying and drawing your supply and demand zones, right? So the most important one that I will look out for always, right, is a impulse move. Okay, so in this case, right, for this demand zone, this had a rally, right? So this would be the impulse candle. Okay, and then second thing you want to find is the basing candle before the impulse candle. Okay, so how do you find your basing candle? Okay, so you have to go through different time frames. All right, so you do a multiple time frame analysis. Try to spot these basing candles before the impulse candle. Okay, so for demand zones, uh, what I do is I will use or try to find red basing candles. Okay, and then for supply, I will find green basing candles before the sell-off candle. Okay. Right, so how do I connect or how do I really draw them, right? Is by drawing from the body of the candle all the way to the lowest wick. All right, so I mean by the lowest wick is that comparing these two, right? These two candles, whichever um, whichever candle has the lowest wick, that's the one that I will draw up to, or draw down to, sorry. Okay, and then same thing or the opposite can be said for supply zones, right? Is that I will draw from the body, right? So this will be the open all the way to the highest wick of these two candles. Okay, right. So next, for the time frames that I use to identify them, right, to find or spot them, right, will be 15, 30, 45, 90 minutes. So this is in the minute range. Okay, and then I'll go to 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hours. Right, so the most frequent ones that in my experience I actually found or I'm able to spot this basing candles before the impulse move, right, would be 1 hour and 4 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, right, so we also sometimes come across daily and weekly levels, right, weekly zones. All right, so but the thing with daily and weekly zones, right, is that more often than not, right, they have a huge price spread, right? There'll be a very huge box, a huge zone, right? So, in my opinion, right, a huge, no, although it's a demand zone, right, what we are being taught or learned so far, right, is to enter at the demand zone, right? But if your price, is a very huge spread, right? Uh, in my opinion, you shouldn't just enter immediately, right? What I'll do is I'll spot these zones, but I'll go into a lower time frame, head down to a lower time frame to find a inner zone. Right? What I mean by inner zone is that, for example, in the daily zone, right, I'll be able to find a 1 hour zone inside the daily zone. Okay, so this will narrow it down. Okay, and then that's where I enter my position, be if it's a long or short. Okay, so this is how I will approach daily and weekly zones. Okay, right. So there's two types of demand zones. The first one that we're going to talk about will be drop, base, and then rally. Okay, so that's very simple. We have a huge drop down first. We base, go sideways or consolidate before rallying up. Okay, this is what I mean by drop, base, rally zones. Okay, so you can see next time it came down, buyer stepped in, pushed the price higher, and then we had a huge rally up. And then the second time we came in, right, sellers try to push price down, but all this, pending orders, these institution buyers, right, that have their old pending orders not yet filled, right, they get filled up here, right, filled down here, right. This is where you see price pushing up, as noted from these wicks, this candlestick wicks, right. We know that buyers stepped in, and then before we continue to rally up. Okay, the second zones that we're going to learn, right, will be rally, we base, we consolidate, and then we rally again. Okay, so this is a continuation pattern. Okay, so we can see this respected once and then respected twice again before having a huge rally up again. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to learn will be supply zones. All right, so uh, the first one we're going to learn about is drop. All right, so we have a huge drop down first, sell off, we base, and then we continue to drop down again. So this is a continuation pattern, like the same one before. Right, so you can see price came up, tapped this almost to the penny, right, before dropping down, selling off again. Okay, and then the last uh, type of supply zone, right, will be a rally, and then we based out, and then we drop. Okay, and then you can see price came up again, tapped this zone before selling off. Okay, so you can see from these wicks, right, seller stepped in, pushed price down, push all the buyers down, overcoming the buyers before selling off again. Okay, so if not, next I think we'll be going through some real life examples, right? Charting the ES or the NQ. Okay, so I'll probably just do this too. Okay, so for me, every morning my game plan, normally I play SPY and the QQQ, right? Uh, but I, I will chart my zones on the SPY futures and then the NASDAQ futures. Okay, why is that so? It's because during the overnight session, right, the extended hour session, be it overnight, after hours, or pre market, right, for the futures, right, they are trading all the time as compared to SPY, right? You can see SPY and the Qs, right, during the extended hour session, they do not have much data, not much candlesticks, not much volume as compared to, for the ES and NQ futures, right? The thing is, SPY and QQQ mirrors ES and NQ respectively, right? So there's no reason for you to to chart SPY for the zones because they are more or less, I would say, inaccurate as compared to ES, right? Where you will have a lot more data. This is all data here, right? As compared to SPY. Okay. So, uh, maybe the first one that we do, we just try to find demand zones and then supply zones, okay, for the ES and then the NQ. Okay, so see, demand zone, I already spotted one over here. Okay, so this will be a 1 hour zone. Okay, so we drop first, we base before we rally again. Okay, so what I will do is, like I mentioned earlier, right, how I'll connect is for the body, the open, all the way to the lowest wick. Okay, and then I'll change my settings. So I'll go to green, transparency I'll put to 75. Okay, and then this is how I plot them. Okay, so every time I like to chart my zones, right, I like to plot a line across to let me know which time frame this zone is, right? So I'll just put this like 1 hour. Okay, so 1 hour demand zone, I'll just put it green. I don't know, okay, this is a zone formed in a 1 hour time frame. Okay, so we spotted one over here. Maybe the second one I actually spotted one will be this over here, right? So this is a supply zone, 1 hour supply zone. Okay, but maybe we go up a higher time frame to see if there are even better zones. Okay, so I like this 4 hour zone. Okay, why? The reason being, right, this is as compared to the 1 hour. Okay, this has a nice basing candle, but then the more the thing that really the feature that I like would be this strong, huge bearish engulfing candle. Okay, this impulse candle. All right, so um, this is where I'll be taking. I'll go through the time frames to see which zones will look better. Right, so I want a basing candle and then a huge bearish candle. Okay, so if it's huge bearish candle, more often than not, I'll use this 4 hour time frame zone. Okay, so this is what happened today. Okay, we can see you know uh price came up, tapped this zone, actually eventually breached this zone, right? And then pulling back. So when price breaches the zone, right, most of the time, or 99% of the time, I will delete the zone because that's considered being breach. Okay, all right, so I'll no longer invalidate the zone. Okay, so maybe we'll find another zone. Okay, we can see this is the top, right? So 4 hour zone, I wouldn't take this. Why? Because you see this candle all the way to, so it's from here to the open, right? It's such a huge spread. Okay, no doubt this looks like a supply zone, but I don't like this. Okay, I want to look for something that is more narrow. Okay, so maybe we go to 2 hours. You see, we actually found one zone over here, one basing candle, very nice basing candle before impulse move down, right? So picture perfect, right? So this, like I said, connect from the body all the way to the highest wick. And you can see, right, this 2 hour zone came up, tapped this zone before selling off. Okay, so so this is what zone? This is a rally. We base before we drop, right? And then over here, this is a drop base rally. Okay, so there's another zone that we touched on just now would be for demand zones, right? Will be the rally based rally, right? Continuation pattern. Okay, so I can see here there's a small rally over here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go down to a low time frame. So since I'm on a 2 hours, I'll go down to a 1 hour. Okay, so you can see, oh, I spotted one nice basing candle. Okay, so rally, we base before we rally again. Okay, but the problem with this basing candle is that, as mentioned earlier from the previous supply zone up here, right, this has a huge spread, right? I don't like this. See how huge this spread is, right? No doubt you can enter here, you still make money. Enter here, still make money, and then sell off somewhere here. Okay, but I don't really like this zone, right? Because it's a very huge spread. So most of the time, I don't really draw these zones. Okay, so yeah, I don't find this is a very nice zone. Oh, so you can see here, right? This is a drop base and then rally again. Okay, well, was it tested? Nah, it wasn't really tested. Okay, I guess tested a little bit here. Sorry. Okay, it got tested here from this week, but this is eventually, right, you have to take into account price action and the news, right? Uh, before entering a zone, especially. So I believe on this day there was very bad news. Okay, so that's why I think it was because of the new variant. Okay, because that's why we continued to sell off. Okay, before finding a bottom. Okay, all right. So maybe let's go to the Nasdaq and Q. Okay, so this is my chart. Okay, the ES one, that was a clean chart, right? But maybe we'll go through why I drew these zones. Right, so you can see here also this is another zone over here. Um, so if we ignore all these other levels, right? Okay, maybe let's go drawings, clean. Okay, so over here we spotted a impulse move down, right? So again, we go to a higher time frame to find our zones. Oh, actually I spotted one over here, drop, base, drop, right? Continuation pattern. Okay, so if price ever revisits here again, I will take note, set an alert, possibly take a short. Okay, right. So just now that one, what was it? 30 minutes, right? Over here. Okay, so maybe I will go up a time frame to a 1 hour time frame. Probably here. Yeah. Okay, so this looks nice. Okay, so from here on out, I'll draw like that. Right. So this is a rally. We base before we drop. So mini rally here, we base and drop. If we go up to a higher time frame, it will look like a rally. Okay, so price came up, tapped this zone before selling off again. Okay, we have one over here as well. Right, so this is a rally base drop. Okay, so after a while, we'll be able to find these zones very quickly. Right, go through different time frames, even the 90-minute, know, whatsoever, right? 30 minutes, 45, even 3 hours. Okay, right. So maybe we'll find one more. Uh, okay, so I believe there's a zone that was present here, which is why we bounce off. Okay, so that's what I could recall. Um, from here, right? This nice candle, right? So over here, right? We rally, we base before we rally again. Okay, so I like this candle, but maybe I'll go up a higher time frame to find another basing candle. Okay, so for me, most often, every time I just leave my zones up. I never delete them unless they are breach. Right, I consider those invalidated. Right, but most of the time I just leave my zones up. Right, so set an alert. Eventually, if it comes down or it goes up, right, that's where I'll enter a short position. Okay, so there's one nice one here, but all these wicks got breached, right? So yeah, I don't really like it anymore. Okay, but this one over here, yeah, I guess this 3 hour one looks very perfect, right? So we change it. Okay, satisfies transparency, and there we go. Okay, so if you have kept all these zones up, right, you will not have, you will have had a good long over here, right? Long some calls here for this mini rally up. Okay. All right. So this is some simple, for Nasdaq and E-mini futures. Maybe we'll go into the simple ones like Apple. Okay, sorry, Apple. Maybe not Apple. Okay, maybe it's AMD. Here we go to AMD. Okay, so create new drawing set, clean, new. Okay, so for large caps, right? AMD, yeah, Apple or whatsoever, your blue chip stocks. Okay, most of the time, right? For me, I will remove my extended hour session. So you see, for my 1 hour, I actually remove show. So I remove the extended hour trading session. Why do I do that? Right? It's because sometimes during the pre-markets and after hours, right, there's not much volume on it, right? Even if there was a demand zone that was formed, right, uh, in the extended hour session, I don't really think it's very reliable because of the lack of volume. Okay, so I'll go down to a time frame lower. Sorry, I'll remove my extended hour session, right, like this most of the time to find a zone, right? So um, maybe let's try to find few zones over here. I mean, I spotted one over here, but it wasn't, no, was not yet respected, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so you see, you spotted 1 hour zone here. Maybe we can see go up to the 4 hour time frame with the extended hour session. Yeah, the price didn't really revisit that zone. Oh, but you can see from here, this 4 hour zone that we have, right? Okay, so again, like I said, right, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have my extended hours on, sometimes I don't. Right. So it really depends. Um, depends sometimes if I'm able to spot these zones in this time frame and this without extended hours or with extended hours. Okay, so I'll just flip through, see what I can find. Okay, right. So you can see here, I guess if you enter short over here, you could have a good, no, what is this? 6 points down, right? This is a good one. Maybe over here we have one, right? All right. Drop, base, rally. Okay. Price came down, tap the zone, rallying up again. Okay. So let me see. You can see find any other zones? Not really. I guess there was one that was very interesting. AFRM that I spotted today. Okay, this was a weekly zone spotted from here. Okay, price tap before rallying up again. Okay, so if we go on the weekly time frame, okay, we have a nice zone here, right? Rally, we base before we rally. Nice basing candle, red basing candle. Okay, so we see we can tap here before rallying up again. Okay, even for this, right? Huge zone, no doubt this is a huge zone, right? But it's a rally, base, rally again, right? So if we go down, you see we tap here before rallying up again, but eventually selling off. Okay, right, so these are just some ways. Okay, now these are the ways that I draw my zones. Okay, so if not, let's move back to some tips. Okay, first tip: drop based rally and rally based drop are more strong. Okay, what do you mean by more strong? Okay, so for example, let me go to the ES futures. Okay, so we see here, right? Drop, we based out, and then we rally again. Okay, maybe this is not a good example. Okay, maybe this, right? For this drop this week. Okay, but why do I see your drop base and rally, or your rally based drop zones are much more reliable and strong, right? It's because, as you can see, right, on this DBR demand zone, right, it has a huge sell off. Okay, before buyers stepped in, absorbed all this buying pressure, all this selling pressure, right, before rallying up again. Okay, so eventually they are not able to get all their orders. No, you see, they have to absorb all these sell orders, right? Someone has to be on the other side, right? So, these institutions, they are not able to, no, fill their orders up. Okay, and then you can see, right, we tap here again before we rally up again, right? So a huge, nice point up, quite a few hundred points up, right? You can see again, right? Rally with base before we drop, right? So, why do I say that? Is because you see we have a very strong uptrend, right? Buying, 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 buying. Everyone is buying, very bullish, right? And then at the end, when we come up to the top, right? Eventually, somebody has to absorb all this buying pressure, right? This huge buying pressure, so they have to use a lot of money, a lot of orders, right? And then obviously, they're not able to get all their orders filled. Okay, so you see again, once price came up, tapped the zone before having a huge sell-off. Okay, of course, probably because of news, uh, COVID news or whatsoever. But again, if it if even there was any if there was no COVID news or whatsoever, I believe this zone will be very well respected. Okay, so maybe even we can find, maybe I show you my chart, right? Not the clean one. I think we had a good example over here. Or is it here? Let me see. Yeah, I believe this is probably the one, right? So over here, no, sorry, this wasn't the one. This, yes, this one. Okay, so um, during this previously when we hit all-time highs, we continued to sell off very crazy, right? Huge selling pressure every day. People were thinking that we're gonna go down lower, right? Because we broke the 50 MA, the 100. Next one would be the 150, 200 MA, right? So people were very bearish, okay? But you see when it start to base out, right? Start to form the band zone over here, right? Absorbing all this selling pressure, right? Price came down, uh, tapped the zone, rally up again, came down, absorbed all the remaining buy orders before having a huge rally up, okay, all the way up, okay? So you can sometimes even connect trend lines, right? From here, you connect to here, like this, right? So it shows that buyers are stepping in, right? Higher lows, right? So this, in my opinion, this is a very strong demand zone. So if price ever to revisits again, hopefully not, I'll probably look to take a long. Okay, right. So strength of the zones, like I said, these two zones are the strongest in my opinion. Not saying that rally based rally or drop based drop is not good, but I prefer entering a position based off drop based rally and rally based drop. Okay, so strength of the zone, most of the time you can determine by volume, right? Huge volume. Okay, so you see a huge sell off, strong high volume. We absorb all these orders, right? So we see huge volume means that somebody is on the absorbing end. Okay, uh, and then over here, I would say we absorb orders. Okay, this is not too much, right? But after that, we continue to rally up. Okay, so this is a very good indication for me. Even this, right, this volume over here, that the rally up, right, shows strength, right, in after this tapping this zone. Okay, okay. So the third one will be flip zones, right? So what do you mean by flip zones? So there's a common consensus that people say supply turn to demand zone, demand turn to supply zone. Okay, that is not very true, at least most of the time. Okay, so you think logically, right? Demand zones is where institution has remaining buy orders, all right? So they have remaining buy orders that are not yet filled. Okay, but what happens when it breaches, right? All their orders is taken out, it's gone, right? This makes sense, right? They are no longer there, present anymore. So why would people think that when it comes up, tap the zone again, you'll continue to sell off, right? No, because there's no the zone itself, right, is for buying, right? So it doesn't make sense to say that demand will turn to supply after that. Okay, but one thing that I will use, right, is when the zone has multiple touches. Okay, so I think over here, I remember when during this period, I think there was a zone that I remember about. Was it this? Yeah, I think probably this. Okay, so what I'll do is I will enter flip zones on the first touch only. Okay, what I mean by only is you see from here this flip zone, right? Okay, remember the criteria is when there's multiple touches, touch once, touch twice, touch thrice, right? Couple times, okay, and then the next time it comes down, see tap again but fail, breaches through, uh, and then you see before we tap the zone and sell off. But I see it's not a very good, uh, I would say a very good zone to trade off, right? For this flip zones, right? So this is the reason why I don't really like flip zones. Okay, but again, if you want to enter, you want to play flip zones, enter it on the first try, right? The first touch. If you see a wick touching the zone, yeah, then for sure enter it during intraday, but don't hold it for swing or whatsoever because these zones are unreliable. Okay, right. So volume exhaustion inside zones, yes. So this is very important. Uh, so this is using VPA, right? Volume price analysis. Okay, so you can see here. So this is the day where we had a huge sell off, right? If we can note from volume, yeah, this day volume was not that significant, but there was a day that was pretty significant. Yeah, like this, right? We tapped the zone. Okay, So you can see one bearish candle, two bearish candle, three bearish candle, or see huge volume, right? And then we came down here. If we use VPA, probably on the 5 minute or even the 1 minute, you're able to spot this reversal. Okay, because this has a huge wick on this end, lower price rejection wick, right? And then significant volume. Okay, maybe there's one. I think there's one that I recall that I hit really well on the calls. Was it this day? Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, but there was one. Okay, but I think this is a good example. But if, even if we want to, we can go on a 1 hour, 1 minute time frame to find, use your VPA skills, right? If you guys haven't read about volume price analysis, I implore you guys to do so. Okay, it'll help you greatly to identify when to enter zones, right? Using looking at spread of candle. Okay, so this or even then huge selling, and then the buying starts to sell fade away. Okay, and then we have this wick. Okay, so probably using candlesticks as well. Okay, all right, so that's using that's how I will approach things when coming down the zone. And so maybe if we can even go up to here. Sorry, let me remove this. Okay, this is just chop, right? Choppy. Have we tested that zone? No, unfortunately. Oh yeah, over here. Oh, but this is during the overnight session, so yeah, I guess it's very hard to determine the volume. Okay, but I probably think you guys get what I mean, right? Uh, by using VPA. Okay, so let me see here, or even here. Okay, this is today. Okay, let's see if we use VPA. Okay, we tap this zone. Yeah, it's not significant enough. Okay, but I guess VPA works best for reversals, right? Timing reversals, like when there's a huge sell off, use VPA to time your reversal. Okay. All right. So freshness of zone is very important. I do not use anything uh higher than 1 year. Right. Doesn't make sense because institutional buy orders and sell orders are not going to be sitting there for over a year. Right. Even 6 months, maybe 6 months, I guess. But there won't be anything over 1 year is ridiculous, right? 10 years, right? People talk about, oh, there's a 10 year supply zone here, but you think about it, there's no way your banks or your hedge funds are leaving their sell orders from 10 years ago, right? It really doesn't make sense. So the fresher the zone, right, the more high probability of price bouncing from it because it's fresh. Your buy orders are still there. Make sense? Right? If it's something a while ago, maybe even like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, right? It wouldn't make sense for the bank to park their money, their limit buy orders over there. Correct? Right. So this is why freshness of zone is very important. Take the freshest zone, right? If it was created, right, over here, right, created. This zone was formed a while ago. Right, let me see. Just a minute. Okay, this zone was formed quite some time ago. From here, right? So this is when? Less than a month ago. Or maybe 2 months ago, right? So in that time frame, I think it's okay for me. Alright. So you can see from here. Yeah. Alright. So lastly, let me see. Okay, so one more thing to learn from is combining, maybe the next topic we're going to cover is approaching price action, right? How to look at your price action, see when it's reaching a zone, how do you know that it's going to sell off? All right, next topic, the next video, and also probably we're going to touch base on utilizing patterns, right? Like your head and shoulders, your rising wedge, your falling wedge. Use all these different myriads or various patterns to increase the probability of this strategy. Okay. All right. So right. Thanks guys for tuning in today. So for more education, right, or trade ideas, follow me on my Twitter. I really post daily SPY, ES, and Nasdaq zones, right? Some write-ups or recaps, right? Most of the time I do that. On a daily basis, I'll draw the zones and then post it up for you guys to trade off the zones, because that's how I'll be trading off the zones, right? And also possibly any trade ideas or chart ideas that I'm looking to swing or day trade from. Okay. And then another one will be finding me at Metal Finance for my trade ideas. So it's a subscription based room, okay, where there's a 7 day trial, right? So that is where I post my trade ideas, right? So for me, mainly, if you guys who know me, I mainly only trade SPY, right? Because it has a very tight spread, easy for me to get in and get out because of the volume, huge volume as well, okay. But I also do not limit myself to these. I also trade the large caps. Favorite ones would be like Facebook, AMD, um, Apple, Baba, right? So these are some of the ones that my favorites to trade off, and because they're easy, they follow the SPY and the cues very well. And then if I see SPY selling off, I'm going to enter a short, for example, on Apple or Facebook, right? So if I see the Q selling off, I'll enter put on Facebook whatsoever. Okay. If not, thanks guys for coming in, tuning in today. If not, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.